Hello and welcome to anybody and everybody. This is the Seeds of Synergy podcast. My name is Patrick, and it is a pleasure to meet you all. This podcast will promote optimism, instill a feeling of connection, and hopefully encourage everyone that listens on a path of their own self discovery through conversations and pondements centered around relationships. Relationships with self, how do we interact and engage with our own mind, body, and spirit? Relationships with others, how are we connecting and building relationships and maintaining relationships with our family, our friends, and our co workers? Our relationship with nature, how are we interacting and engaging with both our local and our global environment on a day to day basis? And how can we make small and continuous progress towards a sustainable environment where we can all reap the benefits of a healthy ocean, atmosphere, and earth? This will become a platform where people from all walks of life can come and share their unique perspective, their unique lens through which they see and observe the world, any specific knowledge or lived experience that they might hold and want to share that could have some value or interest to your own life and your own journey. We're all on our own paths, and some of what is said or spoken about might not be important to you, or you might not deem it to be valuable, and that's okay. All the stuff that I record and I share, I find interesting and I find valuable to me. And when I'm talking about these conversations, all the pondements to come, the hope would be that each one brings with it a seed of synergy that, when planted and when tended to, can sprout a fruitful flower that then brings with it all the abundance and joy that life has got to offer. However, before we can start planting seeds, we need to look at what our garden currently looks like. And when I'm talking about our garden, I'm speaking specifically about our own brain. What is going on? What thoughts, what habits, what belief systems do we currently hold and maintain that manifest to form this garden? All of our negative habits, our addictive tendencies can manifest as weeds and overgrowth that cloud and extract from our garden. They take energy, vital energy and nutrients that otherwise could be used towards things that do serve us. Plants that help to regulate and create an ecosystem within our mind that is in keeping with where we're wanting to go and the life we're wanting to lead. I understand this is all a bit abstract and quite hard to understand, but if you'd level with me, I'd like to explain where all of this came from. A few months ago, during a period of isolation and quite a lot of disconnect from both myself and my loved ones, family, and friends, I got to thinking what my garden currently looks like. What is the state of my mind? And as I unpacked that layer by layer, I found a lot of different plants and ideas and thoughts that constantly seemed to cloud my judgment, that drowned out my presence and prevented me from being truly content with where I am and who I am. So I set out on a journey, and I like to refer to it as undomestication. It was a term coined in the Four Agreements, a book written on Toltec wisdom, and it mentioned how every person, regardless of how successful, how unsuccessful, how rich, how poor, has some form of domestication. Like a dog or a cat, but not quite to the same extreme, we are domesticated by the societal expectations, the societal norms, the parents we're born into, the school that we go to, the religion that we're brought up with. All of these different faculties and experiences and teachings bring with them ideologies and opinions and ways of perceiving the world that over time do get ingrained in our subconscious mind and become a part of our habitual thinking and ways of going about our day-to-day life. And I was finding more and more that a lot of the habitual ways of thinking and the framework with which I was viewing the world could be quite negative and filled with quite a lot of assumptions and judgment. I'm not going to lie, it's not 100% perfect yet. It's an ongoing journey that I'm very much enjoying at the moment. But in order to continue planting seeds and ideas and visions that do work towards my own purpose and my own goal in this life, I need to continually remind myself of the things that are part of me, but are taking away from my present and my awareness. These historically have been addictions, smoking and gambling, to name a few, as well as doom scrolling and social media. I think I can only speak for myself, but I know a lot of my friends as well have been quite enveloped by a lot of the division and the fear and the anxiety that is induced by what is publicized in social media nowadays. And that's not to say everything that goes up online is bad. There's so much good out there, and I'd argue even more good than bad. However, there is still a lot of different things and stimuluses in the world today that do take away from our own presence and our own connection with self. So, as a challenge, I'd like you to think about what the state of your garden currently looks like. Is there any lingering thoughts or doubts or fears that are plaguing your judgment and stopping you from being truly present in this moment? I would like to think that there would be at least something that you can look to and see as not a point of improvement and not a point to ignore. The best way to deal with things that are holding you back is to stare them straight in the face and figure out where the roots are linked to. And what I found as I started to delve more into this sort of self-development journey was, as I dug out a lot of these weeds and overgrowths, I would find that the roots were buried in traumas or experiences that had happened years and years and years ago, that I'd completely disassociated from the feelings and the emotions that I was feeling. However, the presence and the deteriorating impacts were still prevalent to this day. I'll be the first to admit that I don't know everything. Far from. And the more I learn, the more I realize how little I actually knew in the first place. But that's why I enjoy learning so much. It's a never-ending journey, and there's infinite things to learn. Why I'm so hopeful that this can become a place of shared learning. We're all on this journey together, and we can all dip our toes in the pool of collective knowledge when the occasion calls for it, and depending where we are on our own unique journeys. Is why I'd like to extend the invitation to anybody that's listening now or later on. Please, if you feel intrigued or the calling, reach out, ask questions, propose ideas for conversations, or yourself to have a conversation. I think it's a very special thing to be able to share your own perspective of the world around us, and it's an even better thing for other people to hear it, because the more we expose ourselves to the different lenses through which people perceive the world, the more we're able to empathize and realize that no amount of assumptions are going to make us be able to understand, see, or think the same way as someone else. That we've all got our own different perceptions of the world. But to understand and realize that we are so much more connected than what we might have historically thought, that's the true essence of this podcast. Pablo Picasso once said that the meaning of life is to find one's gift, and the purpose is to give it away. There might not be one unique meaning or purpose to each person's life, and it might change as they progress through lived experience. However, I do believe that the only real way to bring about meaningful change in the current geopolitical, political, financial, environmental climate that we find ourselves is for each and every one of us to embark on our own journey of self-discovery, to hopefully work towards our most aligned and authentic self. Each and every person working towards their best and higher self will eventually amalgamate to some really meaningful change, both in the social and environmental spheres, which is why I'm so optimistic about what's to come. And I'm so excited to continue sharing with you the conversations and thoughts as this journey progresses. The whole venture is still very much in its grassroots, but as time progresses and skills develop, I'd like to think that the production quality that reaches you guys is of a much higher standard. But until such a time, keep coming back to what your garden looks like, what you would like it to look like and what the steps and gardening techniques to get there might entail. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today, and I hope to hear and see from you soon. Cheers.